Hi, this is Martin Sunshine, Keller Williams San Diego, your favorite realtor. And today I'm here with Joyce Essex of Coldwell Banker. I'm here in Beverly Hills. And Joyce is a real powerhouse in this industry. Welcome, Joyce.
Thank you.
Okay, great. During these interviews, these are generally not scripted. So if I ask you a question that you're not comfortable with answering, just say I'll pass and we'll move on. Is that okay? Sounds good? Okay, great. So we're going to talk about a bit about your career and who you are, how you got to get to that person, and then maybe share some of the wisdom, some of your wisdom over the course of your career with whoever's going to watch this audio and video. Okay, so tell me a little bit about little Joyce growing up. Where'd you grow up? Siblings?
I grew up in North Dakota and a little farming, ranching community. There was probably about 100 people in the whole town.
Oh, is that right?
And I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and they're mostly still in North Dakota. My brother is in Seattle, but they're still in North Dakota.
Wow. What your folks do for a living?
Farmed and ranched.
Farmed and ranched.
Basically.
Okay, wow.
We had dairy, everything.
And I would imagine you helped out.
We all worked.
We all worked. Well, okay.
You had to be there at 6 in the morning, 6 in the evening, whether it was 20 below zero or.
So that I would. Go ahead.
It's discipline.
Right, and I would imagine that's what I was going to say. You got your work ethic and discipline from that, right? Oh, that's great. This shows you how it happens at a young age. Okay, during your early years, all the way up, say, through high school, did you have a certain hero or an idol that you looked up to?
You know, I think my parents. I had great parents, and the more I'm around people, you know, even in LA, I realize people came from divorced families or bad families, or they don't get along. I had an amazing family, and the morals and everything it was about being a good human being and doing what you can for other people. And it was a gift. I realize it more every day.
That's awesome. Now, so you mentioned both parents. Did you grab some of the great qualities from your mom, some of the great qualities from your dad? It sounds like you had got them both. Share some of the qualities that you think you got from your parents, and which one?
Well, my dad was a great athlete, and he was a really hard worker, and everybody loved my dad. My dad was, you know, everybody loves Jay, and even the day he passed away, it was standing room only at the church. But my mom, she was a school teacher. She made us go to church every Sunday. It was about doing the right thing always.
Nice.
And I think that's important in life.
Right. And I would imagine you see those qualities, you implement them in your career, and it lends itself very, very well to this. Great with people, integrity.
And knowing how to listen to people, basically, like a teacher would.
Right.
And being able to explain things and that type of thing.
Wow, that's great. Okay, great. Okay, so you went to college.
Yep.
What degree did you get?
Bachelor of Science.
Bachelor's of Science, okay.
I basically studied interior design and then a lot of architecture and business.
Oh, so you had real estate early on in your mind.
Yeah, my actual degree was in home economics, which is odd, but I could do interior design, fashion design, family counseling, nutrition. There was something else. So I could go any direction I wanted to. And my minor's in fine art.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Okay, great. So when you got out of college, what did you decide to do?
Well, I waited tables all through college,
okay,
basically. And then I was working with a very famous interior designer. Matter of fact, at the time we were doing like Tom Selleck's condo and the producer Magnum PI and house and all this. And I actually was looking for doorknobs for 3 days with the lady and decided I can't do this. She couldn't make up her mind.
So that was a good sign.
It was a good sign. And a friend of mine that was a manager of mine, when I waited tables, said, "What are you doing? Go into real estate. I've been in it for a year. I'm, made $200,000 this year. Get out of here, do it."
So this was a customer that you waited on?
It actually was a manager of mine.
A manager?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I used to help train people and everything. And I had 2 customers that were managers of the offices, a Merrill Lynch office and a John Douglas office down the street. And within a month, I had my real estate license and had a job in the office next to where I worked.
This manager Are you still in touch with him?
Yes.
That's great. So does he know the path that he put you on? He
Yes.
must, of course.
And the manager that hired me, just out of the blue, is still managing real estate, actually.
Is that right?
And, yes.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, that's great. So the manager that, just so I know his first name,
Well, Jerry Premack hired me.
Jerry Premack. Okay.
Yeah.
But who was the manager at the restaurant that pointed you in this
Chuck.
direction?
Chuck, yeah.
Chuck. Good job, Chuck. You've done well. All right. Okay, so let's see. So I think you answered this. So what led you to become a realtor? So you had a bad experience working in interior design, and is there anything else?
It just wasn't, it wasn't bad experience. It was exciting, but it wasn't, I realized it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I just knew a lot about architecture and houses and that type of thing, and I loved being around people.
Great.
That literally, I moved into that office and I hooked up with the top producer.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Part of a team.
Yes,
Okay.
he was getting his broker's license and was studying,
Mm-hmm.
and said, he saw that I worked hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was 28, and he goes, you know, if you want to work with me, you come in and you start pulling up expireds, and the next morning we'll go out and get these listings together. And he 50'd with me. He literally partnered with me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even in that office for, I don't know, 3 months.
What year is this about?
86.
86.
And by the end of the next year, I was going on a cruise to Ensenada with the top 100 agents or whatever,
Wow.
with Merrill Lynch at the time.
Wow.
And so here was this kid with all these top producers, but I had worked, within a year, I had worked my way up.
At 28. Now, at that age, did you, I guess you found a way to turn that to your advantage? Did you find a way to take age and turn it into your advantage at that time?
No, I was just a really hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was just, I had a 2-year-old son,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd be in the office. Like, my husband would watch him, and I'd be in the office till like 3 in the morning, pulling up expired, so that next morning we'd have packets together and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I didn't really know a lot of people because I came from North Dakota.
Right.
So everything I had was from building it,
Wow.
from relationships
Wow.
that I built.
Wow. Okay, great. So I'm just curious about expires because as all the new agents getting into this business, they hear expires. So you prepared them all, and then you would just show up at their door, or did you try to call them first?
Everything.
You did it all.
And once you become an expert at something like that,
Mm-hmm.
because at the time, really, I learned it very quickly,
Mhm.
to walk in there and say, Mrs. Smith's house down the street was on the market for 1.5 years. We listed it and had it sold in a month.
Mhm.
You know, and if you have that track record and you can show them. So we had packets, you know, with all what we did and the marketing and that type of thing. And we called if we could get a phone number.
Right, that seems to be the challenge.
But I think once people, it's all about trust.
Trust, there it is. Once they trust, I would imagine people decide to hire a realtor once they connect and trust you.
You have to have trust.
Got to have trust.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started in this career, so if that was 86, so you started in 85?
No, I started in 86.
86. Okay, great. Okay, so 1986, let's take a big jump all the way to today.
Yeah.
You come from North Dakota, you land in beautiful Beverly Hills, you start working. Your first job, what city was it in? At Maryland?
West Hollywood.
West Hollywood.
area.
Okay, great.
Uh-huh.
Your entire career. The most memorable transaction that you can remember in your whole career?
I would have to say it's either when we sold the Hearst house for David Hearst. It was actually Randolph and everybody lived in it. It was very interesting because they were very interesting people.
Mm.
The one thing that I remember too, not only the eccentric of everything, but we asked he had a private guard and everything that took care of him, and we said, "Why did you choose us?" He said, "Don't worry, we know more about you than you know about you." And I'll never forget it. It was like, and they probably did.
Right, right.
But and then the other, well, I'd have to say when I worked with Michael Jackson,
Oh,
because
really?
I was with Michael and his kids.
Oh, wow. So,
And-
well, obviously, it's the most
Yeah.
famous name in the world. So what was that like?
It was amazing. You know, we started out first working with the security guards that would show up and walk with, and after being with him a couple times, they would stay in the car or whatever. And I'd be in the house with the business manager and the kids and him, and they were just, it was a delight.
It was.
I mean, and he
Wow.
was brilliant.
Wow.
You know, he could walk in a room and look at a painting or antique and know exactly who did it, who,
Wow.
like, when it was from. I mean, he was a brilliant
Wow.
person.
Wow. So you knew him on a
Yeah.
personal level.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was fun.
Wow, that's great. Now, just as a little side note, I grew up in Encino, California.
Oh, did you?
I did, and my best friend lived across the street from the Jacksons when they lived in. And so Randy Jackson, if you remember me,
Sure.
I was good friends with Randy Jackson
Oh,
growing
my
up in
gosh.
in Lanai High School, in Lanai Elementary School. So I knew the Jacksons, I knew LaToya, and I knew Randy at the time. Randy was a good friend of mine.
Wow.
So that's interesting.
That's
So
fun.
yeah, it was. So who knew? I mean, we knew, but who knew? Who really knew?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, good. Okay. All right. In my research that I've done, starting off these interviews with mega agents. And again, these interviews are designed to share knowledge with people. And when I'm looking at mega agents, I've noticed so many are women. So many, it appears that there's the path to the top is wide open and clear for women, as opposed to other industries that you hear about these glass ceilings. Have you noticed that women tend to excel in this industry?
I know a lot of the very successful women, realtors are women.
Mm-hmm.
There is a handful of men too that are very successful in it, but
Sure.
I think it's just they're more compassionate, especially with traditional type sales. I think they can go in there and talk to the people about their homes better, and they're more compassionate with the feeling and the details, and they listen to what the people are saying, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's my theory, is that females are naturally better at listening. So I think in this business it lends itself
Most
very,
husbands wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure I'm going to lose a few interviews from this. So you have seen that. You have noticed that.
Yeah, I believe so, and I've always been in a team, like married to my partner.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, a lot of the ladies are either single or their husbands are producers or something very high up there,
Mm-hmm.
that they have the time, because it's hard to come home and tell your spouse after you've been in a listing appointment at 10, 11 at night that you're at somebody's house,
Right.
So there's kind of that mix too, I think.
They have to be fully supportive of it,
Yes,
you're saying. Got
'cause
it.
it's a
They
lot
understand.
of work and the
Yeah.
hours are very odd.
Yeah. No, I get that. Sure. No, it's definitely a lot of work in this industry. Okay. So during the, I did a little research on you, and you did extremely well when the bubble burst, when that recent bubble burst. So at some point, you must have looked on the horizon and said, "Oh, there's trouble on the horizon." And when did you see that? And did you make a conscious decision to say, yes, I need to shift gears, and to do well, we need to do X?
Well, after you've been in it so long, I think you pay attention to the cycles. When I started, the market was a little tough, and then in the 89, it kind of, everything was selling, and it was easy for people. And then in the early 90s, when it shifted, I started, actually my first REO was a $2.5 million property in Bel Air, and I walked
Wow.
into Topa
Wow.
Thrift and Loan and said, "You can't hire a regular REO agent for this. We do luxury, we handle the area, this is what we do," and they trusted us and gave us a listing.
This was what year? Early 90s?
Early 90s.
Wow.
And that was a big transaction. And they trusted us to put $50,000 into the property. It was listed, everyone was telling me it was worth $1.7 million. And we said, "You give us $50,000 that we can clean it up, and we're going to get you over $2 million." And we cleaned it up and got them $2.5 million. So we were their heroes. And then we
Wow.
started just getting the REOs. And then when the market shifted again, like in 2006 and all that, I kept in contact with all my old REO people while I was
15 years later, you're still in contact. Wow.
still in contact with them
Great.
all that time. And when the market shifted, we basically were specializing in Bel Air. That's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And we had so so many assets coming in from old friends. Those asset managers from the 90s now were running companies, own the companies, the service, the
mortgages,
asset management companies, that type of thing. And next thing you know, we had, at one point, like 600 assets.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what I'm picking up from all this, that you didn't just fall into this.
No.
This was,
It was
15 years
of
in the
work.
making.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Of
Wow.
going to conferences and
Right.
being there.
Right. So
Yeah.
you just work the process through and through.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. That's
And all the time while we were doing the REOs, like even in the early 90s, we stayed in contact with our traditional clients.
right.
It was a cycle.
Okay. Wow, that's encouraging. So now I get the picture of it. How you got into be in a great position during the bubble bursting. But let's just talk about that bubble bursting a little bit more. At what point did you say, uh-oh, this is not going to end well?
You mean the market shifting?
The market shifting in 2008 when the big real estate crash. Did it
Well,
not crash here like it
Oh yeah,
did?
it did.
It did.
We could feel it like happening. We could feel the the transition. I thought that it actually was going to happen a little sooner,
Mm-hmm.
and it ended up, as it just came quickly for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, we went. I used to sell like 50 houses a year for a little over 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do like one a week,
Mm-hmm.
and the average sale price was over $2 million. And then when the market shifted, the one year we did 636 transactions.
Wow. You went from 50 to
50.
600.
Yeah.
Talk about a shift in
And,
working style.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was interesting because we had to hire people. I don't manage people.
Right.
That isn't what I do. I'm a
So-
salesperson.
So I just want to be clear. So in 1 year, you went from 50 to 600?
It was in probably about a 2-year span.
Wow, that is a
Yeah.
big shift.
And it was a lot of work,
Mhm.
And the 1 year we sold like 580 something. I mean, they were big shifts.
Wow. Wow.
So, but when you're selling 50 houses for a little over 100 million to 600 houses to a little over 200 million, the price range shifted,
Mhm.
everything shifted.
Right.
So
Wow.
we over doubled the money as far as income, but it was, so much more work. and
Right,
everything.
right.
It was-
That is really remarkable. I would imagine it's a new experience for you. It's a different way to work. Did you find that thrilling to be in that environment? So it's that rapid fire environment from that? Or did you just say, oh gosh, I wish I didn't have to do this and I want to go back to the old way of doing things?
You know what? I always loved real estate.
So whatever it was.
And the thing with it is anytime you do big business, you have to love it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had the passion for it.
Right.
So while it was all happening, both, because we were very successful traditional sales too.
Right.
So even traditional or the retail, the REO, everything, it was exciting.
Right. You just loved it.
There
Every
was
part of it.
Never a dull moment.
Right, right. Where are you today? How many transactions a year do you do today?
I think around 200.
200. So
Yeah.
it's somewhere in between what you used
which
to.
is, love it.
Love it. It's balanced. So you got a little bit of that side and a little bit of this side.
Yeah,
Great.
I
great.
love it.
And you're comfortable right now where we're.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great shift, and the thing with my business is so odd, and most realtors don't have this, but I can have a $75,000 property down in the hood.
Mhm.
I don't know if I should say that.
In the hood. Why not?
And then I right now have a $75 million property in
Wow.
Ruby Hills,
Wow.
and we have everything in between.
Right. Well, there's only in between, right?
So it's exciting. We never know what the next call is going to be, if it's something bad happening in a property or a billionaire wanting to look at the house.
Wow.
It's just interesting.
Wow. Wow. That's
You gotta love
exciting.
it.
Yeah, you got to love it. I mean, yeah.
It's exciting.
It is. That's great. Okay. So obviously going from 600 transactions at your time down, you're down 2. How big is your team currently right now?
We have 9.
9 people. And does your husband,
Yes.
husband, is he the one in control, he manages the team? Because you,
Luckily, he manages people. He's
Okay.
always managed corporately. He ran, companies and worked at different companies.
Got it.
Basically since he was out of college, so.
Okay, perfect. Oh, great. Okay, so you, and you mentioned you don't really like managing, so you just focus on sales.
And
That's your
at
thing.
one point, we had like 30 people.
Wow. Did you
So-
fall into the management category at that time, or you still stayed away from it?
No, I want things done now, and I
Mhm.
want it done right.
Mhm.
So my patience level is
Mhm.
I'm very tolerant.
Yeah,
Like I get
I
over
hear you.
things like that. Where
Listen,
my
I hear you.
husband is very patient,
Uh-huh.
but not very tolerant.
Right.
You make the mistake 2-3 times, you're done.
You're done.
I keep forgiving people.
Right,
I get
right.
up, I
You-
want it done, but then it's like, okay, it's over with now,
Right.
next. So.
So you guys make a great team, obviously.
Yes, we do.
That's great. Okay, great. Okay, so today, what does your day look like? What's your schedule like today?
I get up pretty early usually. I try to do some kind of workout if I can.
Okay, give me an hour. Early. What's early?
I usually wake up around 6:30 or so.
Okay.
I know to some people that's not early, but
Okay.
I come into the office and I start going through emails because I still have a lot of corporate clients. We still do a lot of that. And then by around 9, the phones start ringing. We start going out to appointments and that type of thing. And it's just typical realtor life at that point. But I still spend a lot of time at my desk, which when it was just traditional sales, if you were at your desk too long,
You weren't
were
working.
not, yes. So it's different when you work, for the servicers and that type of thing. And we're even getting short sales from the servicers right now.
Even now?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's got to be dwindling, right?
I think they're trying to do it more right now because they're having a hard time, when they foreclose, it makes them look bad. They, a lot of the houses, the people have been in there 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Without making a payment.
Wow. So just
Yeah.
trying to clean their books, you think?
Well, it's just hard because they're getting such bad raps with evictions and the
Right.
tenants
Oh,
and
got it.
everything and the new laws
Uh-huh.
that they're actually selling a lot off bulk. So we get stuff from investors now that buy these bulk sales.
Right.
that type of
Well,
thing.
now,
It's shifting.
right, it's shifting. How long do you foresee short sales happening?
I think
During the cycle.
I think short sales are going to be part of. I think short sales and REOs, even though it's dwindling, I think it's going to be part of the real estate market for a while. Not close to the level it was.
5 years?
Yeah, I would say, because what's happened is the last, I don't know, year even, just for an example, in LA alone, the affordability in LA went from 42% to 27%. That's in a year.
Yeah.
Okay? And basically, to me, what happened, and each city's a little different, but money was easy to get. The investors were coming in and buying a lot of the base of the market, and so there was no inventory. And there's a lot of foreign money on the high end coming in. So the inventory was dwindling. So basically, the supply and demand shifted. And, I think it caused the market to go up a little too quick. The good thing is people that have pulled out so much money out of their houses can now sell their house without having to do a short sale or getting foreclosed on, which, a year ago, 2 years ago, you couldn't get your money.
Right.
So that's gonna stop it a little bit, just because the prices have gone up again to stop it. But I think a lot of people did overextend.
And that's going to continue to last
I think
another
so.
5-ish years? You think?
Probably.
Wow. Okay, good. Yeah.
It all depends on what happens with the market.
Right. If it continues to rise, they could get more equity and less short sales.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, so let's see what happens with rates. And so in your experience, let's talk about that for 1 second. Since 1986, if you had to say one thing shifts the price of the markets the most? Is it interest rates? Is it the employment rates? Is it psychology? It's just the mood of the markets?
It's everything.
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. It's just, when when the rates shift and the demand shifts, and then you had all those different loans coming due, which was part of the big problem. You know, when the market, it has to go through its cycles.
Right.
It always has.
It always has, always will.
But what has happened, I think, too, is because of all the politics and the regulations and everything going on, it kind of held it at a point where it couldn't go through its natural things. So it kind of prolonged it a little bit. And, you know, it was good because they not intervened, we probably would have tumbled
Really crashed.
quickly. But it probably would have lasted a couple of years and been done. And I think we're still working our way through it, actually.
And you being a survivor, whatever the environment is, you're just going to work. It had a crash, you would have had
go with the flow.
You go with the flow. If it crashed, you would have adapted to that.
You know, sometimes I wondered how I ended up with REOs, you know, because that wasn't really what I did.
Right.
And I think sometimes it's just, number one, the servicers, and they have to trust you. And you have to build relationships the same way you would with a regular client. But a lot of that too, when you go into somebody's property and you're saying, hey, listen, you were foreclosed on and you have to move now. I think having compassion and trying to help them instead of going in there and saying, okay, this is it, you know, you're out. You know, I think maybe I was sent there for a reason. I don't know.
Right.
But
But compassion, talk to people with respect and build relationships. People want to do business with people they like.
No
So
question.
you build that. Okay, we're going to get close to wrapping this up, and I want to now start to ask you some questions about sharing wisdom. And I'm going to ask it to you in this format. If you have siblings, and you come from North Dakota, your siblings live in North Dakota?
Yes.
Okay, if one of your siblings sent you a niece or nephew, and they said, let's go with a niece. You have a niece?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Niece and nephew both.
Okay, niece and nephew. So if they said to you, I'm going to send you your niece and your nephew, and I want Joyce, make them mega agents, what do you tell them to do their first year?
I think, first of all, you have to have it. Like I said, you have to have the passion and want it. So, you know, usually I can tell if somebody wants it or doesn't want it from the beginning, just how they're willing to work. But for me, I think, and I give classes to new agents and stuff sometimes, and I teach HUD classes.
Oh.
So, you know, to agents. I think first of all they have to focus on something and decide what you want to do. Do you want to work an area? Do you want to work your friends? Do you want to work probates? Do you want to work bankruptcies? Do you want to work expireds? Do you want to work, you know, pick something. But pick something, whether it's an area, I picked Bel Air. I knew then that once you decide what you want to do, you get the knowledge. Because right now, clients are more knowledgeable than the brokers. You know, they know more about what's going on in the neighborhood. They know what's happening with the internet. They see everything. And the goal is to know more than your clients know.
That's your value.
Absolutely. So you need, the first year I would say would be going out there, learning the market, learn everything about what you pick. You know, if you pick probates, you know everything about probates. You talk to every probate attorney, you know exactly what you want to do. But you have to know it. So the first part is the knowledge and knowing the product. Get out there every Tuesday, every Sunday, look at properties. And that's really the start. And then once you decide what you want to do and you have that knowledge, then you start figuring out how to drip some kind of campaign, whether it's email, whether it's going to their door, mailers,
Or combination?
phone calls, everything.
Or a combination?
Yes.
Excuse me, sorry. that one doesn't go
With
silent.
me,
That one doesn't go silent.
That's your one?
Well, yeah, unfortunately.
But
okay.
yeah, but basically I think to have anything, you have to be in front of the people and drip it. Because it's all name recognition.
Right. Who knows you?
Absolutely. And once they get to know you, and then you have to prove that you can do it.
Right.
And they have to trust you.
Right. You're the second mega agent I've had a chance to interview so far. Same thing. You master one thing.
Yeah.
Don't Don't get in too many things. You
Yeah.
won't become a master. Master what that one
And
thing,
then
and
you
then
can move on.
yeah.
I mean, you have to remember, I've moved to several different things.
But not until you were a master.
Yeah, when I was at work Bel Air, I knew their dog's name, I knew the neighbor, I knew exactly the purple carpet in the 3rd bedroom upstairs. I mean, you have to know it.
And as soon as you know that, and if somebody were to ask you a question, oh yeah, that purple carpet upstairs, they trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing, people, I still go to every conference, you know, every like CAR, NAR, constantly learning contracts. You know, Cole Banker gives us, you know, updates, legal updates, everything all the time. I think agents kind of stop going out there and learning about new things and changes.
You're still hungry.
Have to.
Mm-hmm. Just
You
stay on
have
top of it. It's constantly changing and staying on top of it.
Absolutely.
Are you as hungry today as you've always been?
I think I've shifted a little bit. I think you go through real estate, you go through life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go through, I'm surviving, you know, trying to take care of my family.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go through, you know, I want to make money,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't have that much.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be the best of what I did. So that's what
That's
motivated
what drives
me.
you, right?
You know, now I'm at the point where I want to be the best at what I do for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just want to be the best one that they ever used.
Mm-hmm.
Like my servicers and REO people, I want them to go, thank you so much. You were amazing. You were the best.
Great.
That's what motivates me at this point.
I love it.
You know, I've always looked out for my clients more
Wow.
than myself.
Wow.
And I think agents forget that.
That's another common theme if you watch these videos. Same theme.
And
So
the other thing agents forget is to be good to other agents.
I see that a lot.
Some
Wow.
agents don't respect other agents, and I have to tell you, our industry comes and goes. The clients will come and go. The agents are always there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do a lot of business, you have got to respect the other agents.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have a multiple offer or something, and there's an agent that you know is fabulous and has always been good to you, and an agent that's been awful,
It's going to happen. You're going to.
and they're equal, and
Right.
I mean,
Right.
why would you put yourself through that?
Right. Absolutely.
And it's just, there's certain things like that, I think, too, I tell new agents, you know, watch what you do. Don't burn the bridges.
Right. Be good.
Yeah?
Be good. Okay. So we started off this question, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So now they walk in, your niece and nephew walk in, and you know if they're going to have it or not. Are they hungry or not? They've now got a year under their belt. They're seasoned, and they want to now become a good agent. They're not quite ready for mega agents, but what's the next stage into, okay, they're not rookies anymore. What's next?
Well, I think after they get the knowledge, they need to go out and you need to go out and get business, basically, and really get it.
But there's a lot of people in this business. They've been doing it for 30 years, and they're not going from experienced agent to mega agent. There's an ingredient there. What is it? Hunger?
I don't know. I think you have to work and you have to want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like any industry. I think you have, whether it's acting, producing,
Mm-hmm.
golf,
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
You have 5% that do like 90%.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's because that's their life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know.
True passion.
It's a passion.
It is. Yeah, true passion.
You have to go out and you just
Yeah.
have to meet people, hustle. I mean, I used to go to charity events. I used to, everywhere I went, I'm in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's your life.
Right. That's who you became.
And that's what
it.
makes people mega agents. It's their life.
It's their life.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, great. Wow. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much, Joyce. Joyce, what lies ahead for Joyce Essex?
Well, right now we're doing a little traditional. We're doing a little REO, a mix of everything. I'm starting to play golf. My index is going down.
Oh,
So
good.
I never would take like a morning off or even at weekends, you
Right.
know. And I'm
Take a little time
starting-
for yourself. Good.
Absolutely.
And you enjoy it, right? Golf's a
I
great
do.
game.
I
Great.
do. But, you know, I'm shifting a little the way I'm working and handling it different. I think, too, the longer you've been in, the more referrals you have You don't have to go out and hustle and sit, you know, every open house you do. And that's the other thing, agents, I think they're not willing to work anymore. You know, and you have to really want to get out there. Get out there and do open houses. Meet everybody you can if you don't have access.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's so many things like that. And that's where I'm shifting. I'm not working quite, you know, the 20-hour days that I was.
Right.
But I'm enjoying life.
That's so great. I hope you have a chance to watch my first video.
Okay.
That I think you will really identify with it. You guys hit on the exact same 3 topics.
Really?
Exactly. Number 1 in life. You hit a certain point, it's not about being number 1 as an agent. It's about you being number 1 in life. So that's great. So you get to that level. Yeah. So that's fantastic. Do you have anything else you'd like to share? Joyce, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Really, really pleasure to meet you, and I learned a lot myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Martin Sunshine, Keller Williams San Diego, your favorite realtor. And once again, I'm with?
Joyce Essex, Coldwell Banker.